Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today I wanted to speak about um, another thing. I have a view on society, I think, how it should be. Already, I've spoken about how I believe there should be health care. What else did I speak about? I can't remember what the last one was, but I've already had two videos like that. But this one, I want to talk about um, some things that should be legal but highly regulated. That right now there is an illegality about them. I think the majority of drugs, if not all, should be legal, but they should be regulated, and their usage there should be a regulation on, because I think there should be safe places for people to take these drugs, or to be able to take them at home, but don't go out, use them as party drugs or anything. If you want to use drugs, use them at the appointed place or use them at home. Don't go anywhere. An appointed place, I am talking about, you know, have a building in which there is a comfortable spot. I prefer it to be an actual location, almost like a wellness center where you could stay there, take the drug. You would have people to watch over you to make sure you don't do anything to endanger yourself while you're under the influence. Then, and it would be a comfortable place with like couches or beds, futons, whatever for you to rest upon. So while you're going through the drug trip, you don't endanger anybody else. You don't endanger yourself, because, you know, if that's controlled like that, what's the point of banning drugs? Yes, we would rather see you not take drugs, but there's no reason. It makes sense to legalize and control, or at least remove the illegal part of it, so that you don't have so many drug offenders in jail. Cops don't have to waste time busting drugs. We don't have a growing uh, drug cartel that ships a lot of the stuff here to the U.S. in places like Mexico. You know, a lot of your big drug traffickers and suppliers, what are they going to do? They would have no more if it's made, if you take the illegal off of it and control it. Makes perfect sense to me. Second thing I want to talk about that should be done that way, um, gambling. Again, make it to where it's not an illegal thing and control it. makes sense. You know? Now, there are some people who do get addicted to gambling like they would get addicted to a drug. But we need to have the places be aware and say, we don't want you to lose, your shirt, everything. Make sure they have some ethics. Maybe have somebody from the government work in the casinos and other places that do the gambling. So they can say, make sure you don't let them just lose everything trying to win big. Because, again, that's something we can regulate. And drugs, gambling, they can both be taxed. We could make huge money on that. It don't have to be a high tax at all. Because all of a sudden when it's legal and where you can control all the stuff, you get big money on that from the taxes alone. Just legalizing marijuana, it's bought in buku, huge, immense amounts of tax dollars in some of these states. Huge, immense, gigantic, enormous. I'm trying to think of other words to equate it. But yeah, third thing I think should be legalized and controlled. Prostitution. It makes sense. You would, one, have it legal. That means you could have the sex in the proper location. You don't have to go out street walking anymore, which endangers the lives of many of these women who, work in prostitution to make a living. Because, it's just easier to do than anything else for them. If you make it legal, you could have it in safe, stable locations. You can have people in there as guards to guard the women in the location. They don't necessarily have to go in the room or anything during the sex, but I mean, if anybody tries to pull anything, you're not going to get away with it. So, yeah. And if it's legal, the women also get protected by allowing to have um, STD checks. They can check to see if they have any STDs, if they want the Johns to use condoms, or if they want to be like using a female condom or diaphragm, whatever, they should be able to get that. Because honestly, it would be part of their work. So, there's health, there's, protecting lives, and again, it's taxes. You could have it taxed. It makes sense. And again, cops wouldn't have to bother with it. for these constant, circle of prostitutes and um, pimps and johns. They wouldn't. They would no longer be a part of the circular in jail, out of jail, back in jail, out of jail. And there are some dirty cops who let prostitutes go by forcing them to have sex with them as a way of, okay, I won't say anything if I get a little. It would get rid of that. This makes so much sense. Legalize and regulate drugs and drug use, gambling, and prostitution. It would do so much. But there's some people who are like, no, that's a sin. You shouldn't do that. Why? It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You just don't like it, and that's why you don't want it. Even though it makes the greatest sense in the world. You're like, it's just against what I believe. Oh, no. And that's what annoys me so much. Or politicians that try to suck up to certain people who are like, no, I'm against it. No. No. They believe it's something to do with morals or a moral failing. I see it as something to keep people safe and be tolerant. That's what I see. I see it as something to make a society function better. But again, those are some of my thoughts on society. As always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, later.